I'm back from the great and mighty Pooh.
I love how you said that directly into the mic.
I'm
And
back from
I'm
the great.
literally already streaming, but hi.
Yes.
God damn it. Cold open. I'm back from the
True.
almighty great poop.
The great and mighty Pooh.
Yes. Welcome to today's episode. It's gonna be the first of hopefully many. My name is Taako. Here's my co-star.
Hello. Hello.
Hi.
Chat. Oh, right. I'm supposed to be introducing myself. We're off to a great start, ladies and gentlemen. Hi, I'm Doodle. You can, or Doodlemancer, but you can refer to me as Doodle.
I refer to Doodle as Marm.
Yes. Oh yeah, Marm also works. Yes.
Well, I've decided that I wanted to kind of do a project of things that I like. So I'm gonna try my best to provide everyone with a good time and scary stories. This is Spectral Spice and everything not very nice, where we will dive into spooky topics like ghosts, ghouls, zombies, I don't know, vampires, different things, you know. What kind of scary things do you want to talk about, Marm?
Well, I have always been of the mindset that there are things beyond our understanding. And some of them are benevolent and some of them are malevolent. And some of them are just silly too.
Are there any specific topics that you want to go into maybe in the future?
Something that I've always found interesting is that there's a few constants in most society, like most societies have a flavor of spirit, most societies have a flavor of vampire, and most societies have a flavor of out-of-body experiences. Things of those natures. Telepathy is always introduced. Has always like interested me, as well as I don't actually know much about skinwalkers. I just have heard the name so often that I'm like, I should probably
the
read
name
up on that a little bit.
Skinwalker, which you're supposed to say to summon it. Thank you very much for that.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Which is why I say flesh pedestrian, or
Flesh
like
pedestrian.
yes, that's what a lot of people call them, to not say the name.
Gotcha. So it's a Macbeth kind of situation.
Yeah, why not?
Got it.
Voldemort sort of deal, you know? Well, you already kind of told us how you thought about, like, spooky things.
Yeah. How about you?
I'm fairly skeptical, but I love listening to scary things. At this point, I feel kind of desensitized, but there's some things I do believe in just because I've heard actual experiences from people that I trust and that I know wouldn't lie to me. But also, like, I don't believe everything I see on the internet. I'm watching those scary videos, and they show like TikToks or videos on the internet that are spooky, but like I think most of them are fake. You know, AI is getting kind of crazy.
AI is getting pretty crazy.
Yeah, I think that there's stuff out there that we don't know about. I specifically have not experienced too many things, but like I love hearing people's experiences.
Can you keep up?
Hey, can you keep up? You got your ears back on and everything's ready?
Yes.
Okay. I have a little bit of research, but it's mostly gonna be Reddit experiences. And our first topic for today is possessions. All right. I'm sorry if this is bad. I'm gonna start now.
Pilot episode, let's go.
And now.
Take a deep breath.
Okay. I'm serious this time. Okay. Imagine startling awake in the middle of the night. You look at your phone to check the time. It's 3:15 a.m. Smack dab in the middle of the witching hour. An uneasy feeling settles in as your eyes try to adjust to the darkness that you had just broken with the light of your phone. You've been feeling unsettled for the past few weeks, already bothered with dark thoughts that don't feel like your own. Thoughts telling you to do the unthinkable, like harming yourself and even others. Your friends have noticed, and they've been trying to tell you that you're acting differently. They're worried about you. So, you've been isolating yourself to get away from their judging eyes. You're not going crazy, but you have been losing time. You've been feeling things and seeing things. You've been attacked. The darkness surrounding you feels suffocating. You wish you could sleep peacefully at night, but that's no longer the case. Tonight is different because you finally see it. You realize what's been causing it all. You see the face behind the terrible thoughts in your head. Is it a spirit, an object, a demon, an angel? You don't know, but it becomes clear to you at this moment. You're in the process of being possessed. That was my intro. Did you like it?
That was good.
Thank you. Possession is a topic that's been seen in all sorts of cultures and religions. You see it in movies and in books. There are stories and religious texts about spiritual and demonic possessions. There have been literal court cases dealing with the repercussions of a possession or an exorcism. There's so many things that people have done and blamed on possession. It's like so prevalent in our culture, whether it's been in movies or, on TV shows. There's people who make their living out of just ghost hunting. All in all, it's something that's been around for a long time, and it's probably something we'll continue to see. According to the APA Dictionary of Psychology, a demonic possession is defined as the supposed invasion of the body by an evil spirit or devil that gains control of the mind or soul, producing mental disorder, physical illness, or criminal behavior. And the traditional remedy for this ailment is usually through ritual exorcism. In terms of demonic possession, there's usually 4 stages. First is called infestation, which is the basic paranormal stuff that you experience, like stuff moving on its own or random odors like, why does it smell like cat piss? I don't have a cat.
Yeah.
Oh, it smells like fart, but that wasn't me.
Yeah.
Or like sulfur, usually. More realistically.
It usually is like a sulfur.
But there's other possessed items, like specifically the Dybbuk box, which the story of it was that this guy ended up opening it, and when he opened it, all of a sudden he started smelling either flowers or cat piss. That could have been like the beginning of an infestation. So that's infestation. Regular ghost shit. Nothing happening to you specifically as an individual, but stuff happening in the house. Yeah. And then the second part is when it actually starts affecting you, the individual. It still affects objects. It still moves things. It still slams doors. But now the entity basically mentally tortures the individual by physical contact, either by literally causing injuries or by mentally affecting them with nightmares or giving them depressive thoughts.
It's interesting that the first contact with creatures like these is that they go for a scent.
Yeah.
Because scents are one of those things that we're going a little bit into psychology here, that is the quickest to creating memories out of all of the other senses.
Oh, that's interesting, because the more we get through it, the more we realize like its full-blown power is based off of wearing you down and based off of keeping you focused on it, where it's all you can think about, and then you're mentally drained, so you're more suggestible. Oppression is when usually you'll start to see mood changes in the person. This is when they might start developing anxiety or depression when they didn't have any before. And it's usually happening in quick succession with each other, like, nightmares, anxiety, depression, insomnia, all at the same time. It's mentally taxing. It starts affecting them in different ways. But just because you have mental illness or insomnia or both, it doesn't mean that you're spiritually oppressed. It just could be other things like you having depression or stress, or you could just have ADHD or autism sometimes. Some people on the spectrum often suffer from depression and anxiety because they don't fit into society's standards.
So they become an other. But that's a whole other issue.
That's a whole other issue. The third stage of possession is obsession. It's the point where the individual has been worn down enough by all of the activity that they've been experiencing that they haven't been able to sleep, or they've been attacked, or they're depressed. All of that put together makes them think only about their experience. They're being consumed by the thought of the oppression. I'm getting attacked. This demon's making me go crazy because I can't sleep because I'm being scared every night.
I mean, yeah, that's scary.
Yeah.
Like, I wouldn't want to sleep if I knew that something was trying to invade, like, my dreams. Or my consciousness.
Yeah, I would say it would be hard to sleep because you wouldn't know what's gonna happen every night. Like one night, it could be you get pulled out of bed. Another night, you could wake up to the thing like trying to choke you.
It's interesting too that these things they start messing with you to the point where like they make you think of them and then start to have greater influence on you. And that's spooky.
It is spooky because, like, you were talking about smell and stuff, and how that's one of the strongest things for memory, and they're using the power of memory to consume you. They deprive you of sleep. Like, sleep deprivation is one of the worst tactics for manipulating people and gaslighting people. It's actual torture. The fourth one is full-blown obsession. No, not obsession. Possession. A possession. Sorry. My tongue is possessed by the dyslexia demon.
Not the dyslexia demon.
Yeah. Number 4 is full-blown possession. It's when the individual has been mentally, physically, and spiritually exhausted that they become a shell of themselves. Giving up on control, they begin to listen to the voices telling them to do things. It's kind of like in hypnotism, where if someone is suggestible already, they can be convinced to do things that they wouldn't naturally be in their nature.
Yeah.
Except with possession, the reason that the person is being suggestible is because they're being tortured and broken and tired, that they're pretty much willing to do anything to make it stop. At this point, the individual might show signs of superhuman strength. They're being able to speak different languages that they've never learned, or even some people who are under possession might tell you things like bad things that'll happen in the future, and even some things that you've done in the past that no one would know. It's kind of like they're using paranormal powers to prove that they're not human in there anymore. This is also the point where we hear about things like being able to hear voices come out of people who wouldn't be able to produce those voices. There's a case of this girl. Her name was Annalise Michelle or Mikkel, and she was possessed, or they think she was possessed, but they had recordings of her during the exorcisms, and she had like different voices. Like, I wouldn't say that they're impossible for her to produce that voice, but it would be hard. It would be really
like they
straining.
weren't natural to her.
Yeah, it was scary. I wouldn't
Yeah.
suggest people who get scared easily listen to that. All in all, this is what the Catholic Church believes is demonic possession. Usually, they take these cases really seriously, and there's usually a really strict investigation conducted by the church before they even consider doing an exorcism. Personal experience, my aunt lived in a haunted house, and they started talking to the little spirits because they thought they were fae or like fairies, because they showed up as these little balls of light, they said, in the corner of their eyes, and they would spell out like, "We love you," we like stuff like that. But then my aunt got this really uneasy feeling, and so she prayed, "God, please show me what these things really look like, because I'm starting to believe they're not actually these little fairies." After she prayed, all of a sudden they turned into demons.
Oh no!
And they had to leave their house because it wasn't just her. Like, it was her husband who was seeing things too. She's always been that type of person who could see things. And it got worse when they moved into that house and started talking to the things. They tried to go to a Catholic church, and her husband started talking in two voices, and the Catholic priest got scared and sent them off, but didn't help them. They ended up having to go to this other like Christian pastor. They had to do this weird ritual with this other priest. It was like a cleansing or like a veil opening or something like that. I think that would have been considered a possession.
Yeah, it sounds like it.
Needless to say, not all cases out there are actually demonic possession. Some things can be explained by mental illness, such as schizophrenia, or even a medical issue like encephalitis. There was this one movie called Brain on Fire. I don't know if you've seen it.
I have not, no.
It's a 2016 movie, and it like originally feels like a possession story. It starts off with her seeing things and then hearing things that aren't real, and then she's like, "Oh man, am I going crazy?" So she tries to get checked out by a doctor, but everything seems normal. And
oh no.
yeah, so she going into depression, she starts acting irrationally, sometimes she gets violent, and it really seems like she's either really, really mentally ill or she's possessed. And in the end, she takes like this very simple test. They just tell her to draw a clock, and she takes the test, she draws the clock, and they find out it's a brain issue. So all they had to do was they treated her with meds for her brain swelling. For her brain swelling. And then she eventually got better. But
That's good.
yeah, there's definitely cases like that. But it also makes me think, how many experiences that people see as demonic possessions are actually a medical mystery? And how many people...
And vice versa.
Yeah, and how many people who are deemed as mentally unsound are actually seeing stuff we can't see. So I wanted to kind of dive into the Reddit stories.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Yeah, so we're gonna get started with the actual reading part now. And most of these are from Reddit Paranormal. This is by Shot Specialist 2844. It says, "Birthday boy, please leave me alone."
Birthday boy.
Birthday boy. I was a homeless hooligan for a few years, living in a small farm town in the middle of Blank Valley. I'm not gonna say the actual name. There weren't a lot of opportunities for kids my age. It was about 10 p.m. and my friend and I were bumming smokes from patrons behind the local bar. There were about 5 people, my friend and I included, out back, when this small man came out. He was about 5.5 feet tall, with odd proportions, and dressed like a cowboy. He kept on talking about how it was his birthday, and he referenced himself as the birthday boy. 30 minutes passed, and the patrons slowly started filtering out until it was just the birthday boy, my friend, and I. He asked us if we knew where any abandoned buildings were, and if we could take him to one. At this point, my entire being was screaming at me to get away from him. Like a switch had flipped, and I could feel some sort of evil intention radiating from him. I gave some sort of vague direction of a non-existent building and told him goodbye. He asked if I could take him there and celebrate his birthday with him, and that he had gifts for us. I told him no, as I needed to make it to a friend's house to go to sleep. He told me, and I quote, "I'll see you again," their name, and gave an Yeah.
Shit.
This is the part that's kind of spooky. He then proceeded to sprint backwards for about 30 feet, spin around, and run in the direction I gave him. I looked at my friend and we both started running in the opposite direction, cutting through side streets and jumping a couple fences. We ended up making it to my friend's house and making it inside. About 20 minutes pass and we are chilling inside and smoking. And I can hear someone singing "Happy Birthday" to you. I peek out the window and it's the fucking birthday boy. I don't know how he found us, but he paced up and down the street for an hour or two until he gave up and sprinted away. I never saw Birthday Boy again. I don't know what the fuck he was, but he was not human. To the Birthday Boy, let's not meet again.
If that's real, that's fucking gross and terrifying.
Yeah.
Definitely like a soul using a body like a freaking puppet. Is
Like,
what it sounds like.
yeah. No, I was thinking this guy was just a serial killer up until he started to sprint backwards.
Yeah.
Excuse me? Like, I can't even walk backwards sometimes. Sprinting backwards?
That's very spooky.
How do you feel about that one?
Definitely spooky.
Yeah. Would you say that it was on the demonic possession side?
Yes, definitely.
Yeah, probably. That's creepy. Especially because he found them after they ran.
And knew their names.
And their names. Next one. This one's called "My Nearly Possession Encounter" by Scrappy the Box. I was in my early 20s working at a tire warehouse as a forklift operator. Sorry about that. My Filipino came out. I had just started on my spiritual journey and made friends with what I thought was a good witch. I was healing from some past trauma, and she had given me some advice on how to handle it, so I did. Lo and behold, something attached to me. I felt it following me around everywhere. I would see eyes in the dark palettes and hear things scurrying around in them. Tires would be thrown at me from 30 feet in the air. The whole nine. Well, yeah. Well, I was telling the coworker witch about it as we were walking off to lunch one day, and all of a sudden I zoned out and had a splitting headache. My eyes hurt and I was really dizzy when she grabbed my arm. She said, "Whoa, are you okay? Your pupils went solid black." As she said this, her pupils went solid black, and her whole energy and mood shifted. I didn't think anything about it since she was a weird one. We walked outside to eat our lunch, and she's staring at me while writing on her lunch trash. I look at what she's been writing, and it just says, "Almost had you," my first name, over and over and over again. This scared the ever-living hell out of me, since I don't go by my first name, and not many people know it. After all this happened, I went to my friend who was a Christian and sensitive to these type of things. Me and him prayed, and he gave me advice on how to deal with it, and I left. The following days were weird and full of fear. Every day that I went to work, the witch would stare daggers at me, so I avoided her at all costs. Eventually, I came to God and started reading the Bible out loud on regular intervals, and the activity around me faded into a memory. I quit that job only a week after this and cut ties with anyone that knew me or helped me on that part of my journey besides my friend that turned me to God. Was this an actual possession attempt on me? Can anyone with more insight tell me what this thing possibly was? What do you think about that?
I wonder why the lady was trying to possess her. It's what it sounds like.
I think what they were saying was that they were needing help in a part of their life, and so they tried to get their witch friend to help them from work. But
Hmm.
they did what the witch friend told them to do, but then bad things started happening to them, and they felt like an attachment to them. The thing tried to possess him or them. The witch touched OP, and then the spirit that was supposed to be going to OP went into the witch.
Oh, okay.
But do you think that was an actual demonic possession?
I'm unsure if it was a demonic possession, but it could have. It sounds like a situation of possession of some kind.
Here's another one.
Yes.
This is
Yeah.
from Appley Acid a year ago. It was called, "Did I see an actual demon possession?" Before I say anything, it's important that you know that even though I'm mentally ill, hallucinations have never ever been an issue for me. If what I saw was a hallucination, that means that I've had one incident over the course of my entire life, which seems very unlikely. I was in the psych ward once. I made a friend. This friend happened to be a black man, so his eyes were naturally dark brown. One day, we were in a group therapy session listening to the therapist talk. I can't remember about what. I noticed my friend was shaking violently, which isn't exactly alarming in a mental hospital. People do weird shit, but then I saw his eyes fade from dark brown to bright freaking yellow.
No.
My jaw dropped. I could not believe what I was seeing. I looked around to see if anyone else was seeing this shit, but no one seemed to notice. No one was reacting in any way. Even the therapist kept talking without missing a beat. It was as if I was the only one witnessing it. After a moment, he stopped shaking, and his eyes went back to brown. I never saw anything else strange happen with him. How do you feel about that?
That almost sounds like something trying to see through their eyes. Like, that's
Ooh.
what I think. I've heard of a lot of instances of possessions near prisons and mental health institutes.
Mm-hmm.
My guess is that that would happen more often because the people that if they died in that kind of area would likely have a lot of resentment, and that's, at least from what I understand of like ghosts and probably also demons, then.
So, what the theories are, usually people who are either like physically or mentally ill, if they have a physical ailment or a mental ailment, they're more likely to be a target of attack because they're not strong enough. Their spirit or their body isn't strong enough to fend off the attack.
That's spooky and sad. They would prey upon those that were already suffering.
All right, are we ready for the next story?
Yes.
So, next one, it's from 3 years ago. It's called Something Tried to Possess Me by Long Haired Messiah. Okay, I think this one might be a long.
Long-haired Messiah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's their name.
Psycho Mantis.
Okay, so for some backstory, I never really believed in demons or entities. Always been an atheist and a materialist. no history of mental illness, and completely sober. So, a few years ago, I started getting into religion out of curiosity. And wanting to explore whether there's more out there, I was reading deep into Christian mysticism and Kabbalah and other I don't I think I said that wrong. I think that's an actual religion. I'm so sorry. I think it's Kabbalah.
It's
um
kablah!
Kabbalah.
You got kablah! Kablah!
Kabbalah.
Like a vampire.
Kabbalah. Okay. I was reading deep into Christian mysticism and Kabbalah and other various religious writing, and also some occultism type stuff. Meditating on it all and trying to believe in it as to try to experience what religious folks call God. Thinking if I align myself with the belief system and get into the right headspace, I might be able to get a sign and experience God. Was also going to church out of curiosity. As I got deeper into it and started to believe in some of the fundamental premises, like there being a God, the existence of bad entities and good entities, etc., and feeling like I'm getting closer to God, I started having really bizarre dreams. In the dreams, it was like my whole body would start feeling warm and vibrating, almost like an orgasm. It felt really good.
Oh my. Oh my. Not the what?
I
About
should
G.
have. It felt really good, and it would get more and more intense to the point like I feel I was gonna leave my body. But at the same time, it felt like there was something trying to get me to leave my body so it could use my body for something.
Oh no.
It would always scare me to the point that I'd try to fight it and stay in my body, and then I'd wake up. One time this happened, but in the dream, it was everyone being filled with this thing and something trying to pull everyone out of their body so something could take over. It got so overwhelmingly intense, like something was literally pulling me out of my body. I fought till I woke up, and I woke up with blood pouring out my nose.
Oh no.
Fast forward to like a week after the last intense dream, I was driving on a country road and I suddenly felt something heavy come over my mind. Like something had attached itself to my consciousness. It felt warm and good, like the dreams I had. It was getting more and more intense to the point I felt bliss. What the heck? And it felt like I was being tugged on and I could leave my body. That's when it started to get overwhelming and like I was losing consciousness. I also had my girlfriend in the car. It went
Mm.
from being benevolent like God trying to get me to rapture or some shit to malevolent like something trying to make me lose consciousness and crash. I started to fight it and stay in my body slash try to stay conscious. Then
Yeah.
my radio started saying, let go, it's your last chance to go home. And it was repeating itself, but it wasn't a scary voice. It's hard to explain, but it sounds like an actual singer was on the radio. I ended up having to force myself to pull over. I was basically panicking at this point. And then it all stopped. And I see a fox standing like 10 meters away, just sitting there watching me. I started driving again slowly, and it was literally walking parallel to my car, watching me. I asked my girlfriend if the radio went weird, and she said it went normal the whole time. After this, I stopped involving myself in any religious shit and spiritualism as I was scared as fuck. And it never happened again. Those dreams disappeared, and I never had another frightening experience. Since then, though, whenever I've told people about this experience, I get a weird shivering up my spine and feel fear. A few weeks ago, I was messaging someone and telling them my story, and my 2-year-old suddenly woke up behind me, hysterical. I was asking him what was wrong, and he was pointing at something in my room and seemed completely terrified. Took him ages to calm down. I was debating whether to post this or not, but maybe someone has a similar experience. I still remain completely skeptical because I know how powerful the human mind is, but I really can't explain the experience I had. The auditory hallucinations, the overwhelming feeling that came over me, the coincidence of the fox, and it all stopped as soon as I stepped away from the religious and spiritual stuff. How do you feel about that?
That does sound like a demonic possession. Very
Hmm.
specifically, a succubus.
Oh.
like
Oh.
that sounds exactly like they would try, like invading dreams, causing
Uh-huh.
bliss,
Bliss.
and then using that to try and like kill the persons that their soul then belongs to them. That's
Oh.
exactly the MO of a succubus.
Hmm. That's interesting. I think that's a good take. My take was maybe this isn't a demonic possession thing. Maybe he's actually like a starseed alien sort of
Ooh.
person, and they're trying to lift their spirit out of their body so they can go back to their astral selves and it to back to their seed planet maybe.
Yeah,
I don't know. I'm just
I could see
entertaining all the
that.
thoughts, but I like the succubus route too.
Like, it just makes sense to me.
It makes sense. It makes so much sense. The feeling good and the trying to leave the body, but I also think that it could be alien
Yeah,
stuff
yeah.
because it's like he had the dream that other people were also getting taken over. At
That is actually a point towards that.
Yeah, I had a thing during that part where I was thinking, oh, is it the Holy Spirit being like filling them up? Like, are they getting filled with the Holy Spirit? Hallelujah. But then it became scary. I think you're like in the right direction because the let go is your last chance to go home. It was repeating itself, but not in a scary voice.
Yeah.
Sounds really, really succubusy. Ha ha. But I'm not that I'm not telling you to suck my pussy.
Succubusy.
Thank you. All right. That was a fun one. I like that one. Here's another one. It's by leather underscore donut underscore 176. And it was a year ago, and it's called My Grandfather's Possession Experience. I'd like to preface this by stating that the following is not creative writing. This is a story I was originally told secondhand by my mother, but confirmed by my grandfather when I was about 14 or 15. I'll leave it to you to form your own opinion, or to debunk it, or whatever. Regardless, this story stuck with me my whole life, so I thought it was worth sharing. A bit of background on my grandfather passed away back in 2013 from cancer. But in his lifetime, he was a decent guy who helped a lot of people in various ways. After he met my grandmother, they both joined the army. They served in Japanese based U.S. Army hospitals during the Vietnam conflict, helping to save a lot of guys. After this time with the army,
Only the guys.
only the guys, the man, the guys. After his time with the army, he joined the Air Force for a stint. This all helped him get to his nursing degree and become an I knew I was gonna mess that up.
Anesthesiologist?
No.
Anesthesian?
Yes,
Okay.
anesthetician.
Anesthetician.
Yes,
Okay.
anesthetician. After the Air Force, he became a clergyman at their church, and years later, he would become a Russian Orthodox priest. For over 40 years, he served as a priest. By the way, just for reference, in most sects of Orthodox Christianity, they allow clergy to marry unless they were a bishop or higher. My grandfather was the sort of priest that the archdiocese would call up and say, "Hey, Father, we have these people in Alabama. They're believers, but they have no church in 100 miles they can attend. Will you go there and help organize something?" Then that what would start as people holding liturgy in someone's living room with 2 dozen people would become a full-on church. He repeated that more times than I have ever gotten straight answers on. The only thing I thought he was gonna ask for was always putting the church before his wife and 3 kids. Anyway, it was the mid 70s, and my grandfather had moved my mom, my aunt, and my grandmother to New Jersey to help one of these struggling churches that were without a priest. My mom was about 5 or 6, and she remembers this point in time pretty well. One day, my grandfather was contacted by his bishop, whom told him that his assistance was needed with something very serious. He told my grandfather that there was this young girl, 17 years old. She is I'm not going to say that word, but we're going to say like a Romanian traveler nomad, because I know
Got
that,
you.
yeah.
Yep.
And her family brought her to the monastery claiming that she's possessed. The monks there tell me they believe this to be serious. Will you go there to help them? My grandfather had been a priest for several years by that point, but understand that most priests who serve their entire lives are never asked to help exorcise a fucking demon. Actually, the Roman Catholics require special permission from the Vatican to perform any exorcism rites. He agreed without knowing what he was walking into. The story I was told about the girl was that her name was Juliana, and her family were the Romanian travelers. She had come from a family that was heavily involved in occult practices, which wouldn't surprise anyone familiar with that culture. Juliana was married to a man.
Not the casual
I
racism.
know. Juliana was married to a man from another family in their clan. I don't know much about him besides that he was a bit older than her, and he also practiced a lot of magic. Juliana's family started becoming concerned when she started acting different. She was very moody, aggressive, wrathful, and just straight up mean. As time went on, her fits would get worse, and she would scream hurtful things at people for being asked simple questions. But the family was terrified when the caravan they lived in would rattle, rise up off the ground a few feet, and then drop to the ground. And even on many occasions, seeing things fly off the wall or out of cupboards and break against the wall. They tried their own rites and rituals to cleanse whatever darkness they believed was possessing Juliana, but nothing had worked. They went to this monastery, desperately seeking help. This is where Grandpa gets involved. He said when he got there, everyone was in the church. Another priest and a handful of monks, all preparing holy water, oils, saying prayers for help with the God's strength. In the back of the church were several curious lay people that live and help work on the monastery grounds. Then a bunch of Juliana's family. I guess they had her in a room with a few family members till they were ready. They bring her in, sit her on a chair in front of the altar. My grandfather said that he felt the air get thicker, and she seemed pissed and was just talking shit, laughing, spitting, trying to scratch and kick. They had a few people restraining her as she was getting violent. They semi-surrounded her, and they began praying and performing the full-on exorcism rite. As they progressed, she began growling, and he said things started happening. The chairs in the church began rattling, shaking, and moving on their own before levitating off the floor. Those curious and even some of Juliana's family were so scared that they ran out of the church. He told me that they continued praying and repeating the prayers over and over for several hours as things continued to erratically move on their own. And Juliana continued to curse them and their God, spit, scratch, and target each person trying to get in their head and break their concentration. But they continued and praying and asking God and every saint they could think of to help them banish this thing back where it came from, to leave this girl. Then she suddenly sat back rigid and swung her head back. Her face began to contort, and take on this inhuman shape while her mouth opened wider than a human's mouth can expand without completely separating the jawbone. And without her mouth moving, a voice came from within her. In this deep, growly, loud, demonic voice said, "Leave me alone. I'm happy with her." But this voice didn't speak in English and any other commonly spoken language. It spoke in a dead language that is native to the region of Romania and the steppes of Russia. This Slavonic language. The monks especially knew this language because many old church manuscripts are written in this nearly ancient language. This moment frightened everyone in the room, but they knew they couldn't stop now. Not long after, Juliana passed out. She was unconscious and they couldn't wake her. She was breathing, but she was in rough shape. So they brought her to the hospital. She was stable, but she wouldn't wake up. She slept for about 2 weeks. Then, one day, she woke up. She was so confused. She didn't understand why she was in the hospital. She had no memory of the exorcism at all. In fact, she couldn't even remember the last year and a half of her life. The yeah, the very last thing she could remember was being in her trailer. She said, "I was sitting at the table while my husband slept out in bed when I noticed something from the corner of my eye. I turned and I see my husband sleeping on his back, but there was this black cloud that was flowing out of his mouth and hovering above him in bed. Before I could scream, this black cloud rushed at me. Now I'm here." My grandfather was changed forever after that night. My mom tells me that she was 7 or so at the time, and she remembered that her father didn't speak for at least a couple of weeks, and he wore this somber look on his face. He would move on, but it had a lasting impression. My mom said he didn't tell her the story until she was a teenager, and he was trying to warn her off dabbling in the occult, as you never know what you're inviting in. My grandfather wasn't the kind of guy that liked to make up stories. Actually, he liked to call people out for embellishment. He usually didn't have a lot to say unless you asked him about something. He was very intelligent and read a lot. He also traveled across the US and had been to various countries over his lifetime. He served in 2 branches of the military and had a career as a medical professional. I'd say he has some level of credibility, in spite of the fact that I come from a religious family and growing up, I went to church pretty regularly. I'm not a religious person. I've studied a good number of various belief systems, and I don't subscribe to any single one. So, this isn't a Christian rant or trash talking Romanian travelers. I actually have
You could have fooled me. Okay.
I actually have a lot of respect for their heritage. I just wanted to share a paranormal story that would never be heard of if it wasn't for this platform. Now, I hand it over to the community for any comments, questions, opinions, ridiculous theories, and any well thought out jokes. And that's the end of that story. What do you think?
Good story.
Yeah.
Very good story. Spooky, definitely. And also,
Yeah.
like, what do you mean I'm happy with her?
Ah.
Oh no.
No, I think this is the only one so far that I'm like 100% sure was probably a demonic possession.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was like the telltale signs. Talking in different
Mhm.
languages, losing a year and a half of your life.
That's huge.
Yeah.
Like,
So I think that one was, if anything, like the scariest one so far.
yeah, I would have to agree.
Stop in the name of love before you break my heart. All right,
Okay.
this is a year ago from OK underscore Wolverine 8169 called Demonic Possession. A year ago, 2022, I purchased a book called The Lesser Key of King Solomon, also known as the Goetia,
The Gosha.
the Gosha,
Goisha?
Goetia,
Goisha?
Goetia. Yeah, it's the Goetia. for short, by Alistair Crowley and Samuel Liddell. Long story short, I had no idea what the book was about. A year later, in November of 2023, I came upon it and was skimming through the pages. My eyes made contact with the text, and now I've been dealing with unexplained activity both physically and in my space. I woke up speaking a different language. I needed to get a remote exorcism. I had Belial and several other entities in me. It was scary. I still need another one because one named Mercury came back and won't leave. They kept asking for my soul, then it said it wanted my house, and it left me alone. It's still in me, and unless I do these screaming motions, I can get some of it out. However, it's helpless because it's in my home. I can't even be in my house, and I've stood in hotels with family. However, I've had to return home because I've got nowhere else to go. I'm moving to California in a few weeks. However, this thing is still in me. It makes my head shake and tries to control me. It's a horrible feeling, and my eyes don't look human. I have the priest come by to my house, but there is only so much they can do. I don't understand how this has happened just by looking at the book, and I didn't read it out loud or summon anything from it. As soon as I saw what it was about, I immediately wasn't interested. It's so hard to find someone in NYC that understands how to get rid of this thing. I've called the archdiocese several times, Catholic priests, even mediums. It seems no one understands what I'm dealing with. I got rid of the book as well. Can someone please help?
That's a named demon.
See, here's the thing. I don't know if I believe this guy.
I don't know if I believe him either. He would not be himself at all. If an actual named demon wanted your body, you would not have your body anymore.
Right? Like,
They've been around too long to
Yeah.
have to go through the same steps as most demons. Is all
Yeah.
I'm saying.
it just feels kind of weird. Like, I don't think just looking at a book could do that so severely.
Mhm.
I feel like this person is having a mental crisis.
I think so too. Yeah, I don't think that one's real.
One named Mercury? Why would they be named Mercury? I don't know. It's just me. I don't believe this one. This is Ozempic for avocados.
Ozempic for avocados.
Yeah. The name is called Experience in a Haunted House.
Yeah.
So, I'm a military brat and we move a lot. When I was 10 years old, we moved into a new house. The house was just built at least 2 years before we moved in, so we thought nothing of it. Honestly, the place looked pretty nice and modern. I got the room that was kind of furthest away from all the other rooms, but I thought this was a score since it had its own bathroom and I could be as loud as I wanted to and no one could hear me. The first year living in the house was pretty good until I was in 6th grade. In 6th grade, I got bullied pretty bad since I was a new kid and didn't really have much good friends. It went on until the end of the school year. So that summer, I started to see things inside my closet. It's like I would leave the house to go out and close my closet door, but when I'd come back, it'd be open. I was too lazy to shut it again, so then later that night, I turned it towards it and see a face in my closet. It was a shadowy figure just looking at me. I told my parents about this, and they told me it was probably one of my stuffed animals. So after that, I ignored it until one night I was just watching TV and I saw in the corner of my eye stuff move in my room. I had this lamp on the corner of my desk and somehow it was turned around. Next to that, 3 of my drawers were opened. So I thought to myself, this was strange. And the next day I told my mom about it. After that, it all went to hell. So I told my mom about it and she let me sleep in her room. Since I was young and scared, the next morning we went back to my room and it just felt cold and empty. Like all the light had been sucked out of there. See, I come from a Catholic family. When stuff like this happens, we call a priest. We called a priest and he said he'll come down within 3 to 5 days. Those 3 to 5 days were absolutely crazy. At night, we'd hear scratches on the wall, doorknobs move, screams coming from the hallway leading to my room. Once the television even turned off and on. The day that the priest got here, we did an exorcism. He basically put some salt, holy water, and oil into a bowl and started praying. But when he did this, it felt like the whole space was just shaking. We thought that all of our problems were just solved, but it only got worse. After the priest got very sick, and the house just kept feeling darker. My dad, he really isn't a believer of that stuff. He thought that we were all just BSing him and that it was all a joke we made up. His and my mom's marriage was already falling apart, and they'd fight every day since we moved into that place. So they got into a fight over this, and my mom told him that she hopes that whatever entity is in this house gets to him. Right after she said that, he got possessed. This thing in my house went into his body. His
Oh,
whole face started leaking snot. Like it came out of his ears, eyes, and nose, and his eyes just weren't his. It was like looking into the eyes of a different person. After that, he knew that we needed to get out of there. So he applied for housing on the military base, and we just waited and prayed that whatever was in our house would go away. From time to time, I would see shadows of people. It's like I would be sitting at the dining table, and in the corner of my eyes, I would see the body of a man, but it's just a black shadow. And usually, he had a hat on. Sometimes I'd see a lady just standing in the hallway looking at us. Eventually, a priest that did training at the Vatican got a hold of us and came over to do a blessing on the house, even without coming inside. Oh?
oh,
Even without coming inside, he knew that something evil was with us. After talking to all of us, he let us know that our house was most definitely haunted and we needed to get out before anything worse happened. He said, how, or whatever demon was there, wanted to get to me since I was so vulnerable and young. After he had left, was starting to experience out of body events. I would have dreams where it was like I was floating above my body and how I wasn't there. I started to hear voices in my head that weren't there, and I started to have evil thoughts of harming others. When I told my mother about this, she started sending me out of the house to play with other kids so I wouldn't be exposed. One of the weirdest things that happened at the house was when we were all out for the day, the mailman came to deliver a package, and an old woman opened the door. Obviously, there was no old woman living in our house at the time, so when we came home and the package wasn't there, we called the mail office, and they told us an old woman answered the door and told them we didn't live there anymore. Like we were just gone. After that, my dad called almost every day to see how much longer we could live on the base. We had locked up my old room and put a line of salt outside the door. We had also covered each mirror as it could be a portal to the other side. The scratches continued until we moved out, and so did all of the shadow people, voices, and all the weird touches and feelings we'd get. After all summer of this happening, we were finally able to move on base, and it all just stopped. I still had a couple of dreams in our new house, but nothing like that experience ever again.
what do you mean they don't live there anymore?
What, bruh? Would you still live there if all that shit happened to you?
But the old lady said that.
Yeah.
That
The old lady was a package stealer.
yeah. Oh
The
no,
the
wait.
OG Amazon thief. I would be so mad if a ghost stole my package.
Yeah.
Cause like I can't even get that back. I can't even track her down.
Nope. It's just
Now,
gone.
but if a
Yeah.
ghost stole my package, imagine.
It'd be on site
It would be
with
on
that
site.
ghost.
I'd have a freaking salt and I would cleanse this space. Actually, I realized that was the last one. Well, that was a weird
Awesome.
end. I'm sorry.
I think we got a good amount of stories in.
Oh, I think we got too many stories in with this. We're like 2 hours in. But yeah, we'll see you later. Thank you so much for tuning in to our first ever episode or whatever this is gonna be.
Don't
We
ask me
we
to
have no
recite.
sign off yet, so it's just gonna be like, okay, bye, see ya.